Blue Cliff Record, Case 43, Tozan's No Cold or Heat. Engo's Introduction. The words which command the universe are obeyed throughout the ages. The spirit able to quell the tiger amazes even thousands of the holy ones. His words are matchless. His spirit prevails everywhere. If you want to go through with your advanced training, you must enter the great master's forge. Tell me, who could ever show such spirit? See the following. Main subject. A monk said to Tozan, "Cold and heat descend upon us. How can we avoid them?" Tozan said, "Why don't you go where there is no cold or heat?" The monk said, "Where is the place where there is no cold or heat?" Tozan said, "When cold, let it be so cold that it kills you. When hot, let it be so hot that it kills you." Secho's verse. A helping hand, but still 1,000-fathom cliff. Show and hen, no arbitrary distinction here. The ancient emerald palace shines in the bright moonlight. Clever Conroe climbs the steps and finds it empty. You may turn this way. Shinge Roshi and dear Sangha friends, it's really great to see faces that haven't been here in a while, and some faces I've never seen, and then the old faces. Not so old faces. So, welcome to Sesshin. Welcome to winter. I was born and grew up in Syracuse, and whenever it's snowy or really cold, inevitably I'm asked, how can you stay there and live? You know, I grew up here, this is what I knew, but there's many people who can't imagine staying here by choice. So that brought me to today's selection of this case. One aspect is the interesting way that we define things, like what is cold. Is today colder than yesterday? It's a setting on the thermometer. But if we take the word cold and think of it alone, it's something we define and sometimes assign to a certain degree of discomfort. But that's a description of our experience, but it's not a description of the world. If we don't label our experience in that way, it can be seen as a way to accept the cold. So imagine the possibility anybody could be sitting here in Sesshin waiting for the Incan, thinking, this is taking too long, Fugan fell asleep. It just seems too long. It's not the way it should be. This feeling that as it is, isn't right. Discomfort. Maybe someone feels the Zendo is too cold. That happens, I hear it from many people. And then a decision like, I should tell Daigon to adjust it. Or I can just suffer in silence, but I'm still going to suffer. This isn't the way it should be. The other one I've always heard in Sesshin in the winter is about the walk to meals. Like, I can't believe they expect us to walk outside with only our robes. It's so cold. So these situations, when we think that they're off, that is dukkha. And, Buddha taught about dukkha and this basic dissatisfaction ever since his earliest teachings. So from that perspective, cold is the inescapability of suffering, the inevitability of death. So from that perspective, it's always cold, even in summer session. We can deny it, we can ignore it, we can despair because of it. But none of these approaches are going to change the fact of what it is. It doesn't make it any less true. To us, it's still cold, and there's no other place we can go that there is no such cold. We can resist it, or accept it, or pretend, or surrender. So here, according to Tozan, we surrender. And in true surrender, it isn't so cold anymore. Perhaps it isn't cold at all. So true surrender is really acceptance. There's a fine line there between a distinction in terms here of surrender or resignation. But acceptance is the real heart of it. And acceptance is a real open door to us to freedom. So one of the things that draws us to practice here and keeps us here is this bodily experience of acceptance. We've heard many terms, language, transformation, transcendence, but the true experience that comes from Zazen, facing the reality of our lives, coming to terms with it as it is, that's the real work. And it's so worth it. It's the work of our lifetime. And what I love, and I love to say this to people, is that you don't have to decide to do this. It's not some New Year's resolution. This acceptance will just happen on its own from the practice. So we only have to trust in our practice, and maybe give it 40 more years, or the readiness of time. So we all have things that are beyond our power to fix. And I'd like you to take a few minutes right now. Just close your eyes. Think about the things that are most bothering you right now in your life that you don't have the power to fix. So as session continues, you may be able to see these with clearer eyes and notice a little less resistance. Maybe you won't be searching for an escape quite as much as you have been before coming in here. So we already are where we need to be, and the temperature is just fine. And we're very fortunate to have great Zen masters who have pointed the way to this acceptance. So starting with Buddha himself in the third noble truth, Sesshin, just dropping our preferences, dropping all our ideas about, and just sit and enter into lucid awareness. Another master, Soen Roshi, put it this way: okay. When asked what to do when faced with great challenges, suffering, his okay, the essence of it is radical acceptance. Being present with what is, facing whatever situation. It could be suffering, it could be joy. It can be a bleak state of the world, but facing it completely and directly. It's not about feeling good or badly. It's just total engagement with life as it is. And the wonderful thing about this is that it leads us to be able to help others much more easily. And our world sorely needs that. So his okay said it all. And then Master Hyakujo, case 2 of the Mumonkan, and Hyakujo's fox. He points out that when our mind attaches itself, makes a problem of what is or is not there, we feel like a victim. It's not to say that we try to ignore, because that only compounds the malady. What we do is recognize. Recognize constitutes the remedy. So we don't ignore causation, but at the same time, we don't fall under the yoke of it. It's two sides of the same coin. Then we have Master Joshu. In case 11 of the Mumonkan, Joshu sees the hermits. This free to go, free to take. Speaks of not being bound by fixed ideas, to be able to receive experiences, even difficult ones, without resistance. This allows for ultimate freedom, action, and freedom in perception. We can be nimble, spontaneous, present, awake, a radical freedom, an authentic response to any situation. So these all speak to transcending duality. Good, bad, life, death, experience true spiritual liberation. And then we have Shinge Roshi. She gave us the living example of this when she was faced with taking over for Edo Roshi. Okay. Her later words when she spoke to us about it were, I can't do it. No, I can't do it. When we lose the I, any fixed ideas of I can or can't are gone. And that's true acceptance. Roshi also added the words, let go, let God. God is not a word, it's faith, surrender, Buddha. In Secho's verse of today's case, we heard, the ancient emerald palace shines in the bright moonlight. This is a place where there is no cold and no heat. Represents the realm of samadhi. Your subjectivity and objectivity are united. And you become one with the cold, or you immerse yourself in the heat, and you're one with both. This is the Emerald Palace, lit by the bright moon. The last line of the verse, clever Kanro climbs the steps and finds it empty. In legend, Kanro is a fast-running dog who chased a hare, and both ran so fast they eventually fell dead of exhaustion. So the monk here is being compared to Kanro, pursuing the problem of life and death. He enters the Emerald Palace and found it empty. So now we can more clearly understand what that empty is. The sho and hen in this verse, they're a reference to Tozan's 5 ranks. So I thought I would list them for you. The first is the apparent within the real. That's hen in sho. Second is the real within the apparent, and that is sho in hen. These correspond to absolute and positive samadhi. The third is coming from within the real, coming from sho. The fourth is arrival at mutual integration. That's integration in hen. And finally, unity attained, perfection in integration. So there's no arbitrary distinction. There's no philosophizing about these. Another master, Soto Master 10K, he commented on this verse in The Secrets of the Blue Record. Tozan's reaching out today for people is a point at which not only this monk, but all Zen monks in the world have a hard time making progress. But even though it is like an inaccessible precipice, still it's not on the other side of the mountain. It's in your food, it's in your drink, it's in every step you take. That in itself is where your calculations and comparisons do not reach, where there's no arrangement in terms of absolute and relative. So why must absolute and relative be in the arrangement? Sesshin makes it clear that where Tozan is directly pointing, even to speak of absolute and relative already turns into a root of interpretation. So don't make an issue of arranging. Any way to express Tozan's own state, the ancient palace of crystal, in all ways without a dot of the dust and dirt of the notion of Buddha and the notion of religion, the transcendental realm of untrammeled freedom where the totality becomes manifestly evident. Not realizing this, the monk came from the words, a sneaky dog, as if trying to grab the reflection of the moon. His failure to grasp Tozan's real meaning outside the words was unfortunate. Another master, Master Huang Lung, founder of the Oryo School of Zen within the Rinzai tradition, offered this commentary. Peaceful meditation does not require mountains and rivers. When you have extinguished the mind, the fire itself is cool. These are wonderful. You know, the koans, we don't work on the koans, they work on us. And we're so fortunate to do this work with Shinge Roshi as our guide. The gift of Sangha is a very powerful thing. When we come together, something blossoms and can activate and energize. And it makes beautiful, really, our Dharma path. I liken it to chosen family, which I recently experienced at our son Dokyo's marriage to his partner, Alan. Within chosen family, there's diversity, there's love, there's respect, there's acceptance, there's working together in all things. This brings much joy, and it's a celebration. So in that way, our session is celebration. And even though a lot of times it looks quiet on the outside, we are bathed in this bright light on the inside. So, what does this have to do with Robert Redford? A couple days ago, I read a piece by his daughter. It's about his last day. On his final morning, he sat by the window of his Sundance home, wrapped in a navy wool cardigan. The sun had not fully risen, but all glowed pale orange. He pointed and said softly, "Look at that light." Those were his first words that day, and among his last. The day began quietly, just the way he preferred. He had turned 89 the previous month, no longer walked unaided, but insisted on sitting upright by the open sliding door. A blanket covered his legs. He watched the wind move through the aspen trees. He spent much of the day reading his worn copy of Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Too tired to speak for long, he gestured for a passage to be read aloud, the section about quality being in lived experience. Redford nodded slowly and touched the cover when whispered, "That's how I tried to live." In the late morning, Shauna, helped him outside. A wool shawl covered his shoulders, and he sat facing the sun, surrounded by silence. He held a small journal in his lap, filled with haikus, film sketches, personal notes. One line read, "If I disappear, look for me in moving water." He tapped that page twice and looked up, meeting her eyes without saying anything. As I fed him lunch, he looked directly at me and said, "You've been sunlight." I didn't ask what he meant. I just smiled and squeezed his hand. By afternoon, his children were present, and the room stayed deliberately quiet. One granddaughter, Dylan, read aloud a passage from A River Runs Through It. When she reached the line, "Eventually all things merge into one, and a river runs through it," Redford blinked twice, closed his eyes, and exhaled slowly. His final words came around 7:50 p.m. He opened his eyes briefly and said, "Be brave, stay calm, kind, make art." He passed away minutes later in his bed at Sundance Mountain Resort, the very place he had poured decades of his life into nurturing. The following morning, our family released a shared statement. He believed in the through lines. If you ever crossed paths with him, you carried a piece of his story with you. Shauna later revealed that in his last words, Redford had recorded a private message for his great-grandchildren. In it, he said, "This world can overwhelm, but if you slow down, sit under a tree long enough, it'll tell you everything. And if you forget who you are, draw something or go walk alone. Nature remembers you." There were no cameras, no formal goodbyes, no spotlight, just the quiet passing of a man who lived through image but sought meaning in invisibility. His death was calm, unhurried, and complete. His family didn't plan a public memorial. They followed his instruction, plant trees instead. Let the wind carry the rest. He left holding stillness in one hand, sunlight in the other, choosing presence over applause until the very end. So there's one last teaching I would like to end with. Surangama Sutra, which we're reading in Dharma study. In our true nature, all conditioned things are seen as empty. That which arises from conditions is illusory. That which is unconditioned is not born, nor does it perish. It too has no reality, like flowers in the sky. Though we use words to try to speak the truth, all words are false, not only words that aim at truth, but false words. All are false. Both that which is called true and that which is called false are false. How can there be, therefore, observer in what is observed? In the perceiver and perceived, there's nothing that is real. They are like vines that only stand by twisting round each other. Entanglement and liberation share a common basis. The path of sages and of common folk is one path only. You should consider now these vines that twist around each other. The vines have no existence, yet they do not lack existence. The darkness of confusion is our basic ignorance. The light of understanding brings about our liberation. A knot must be untied according to a certain sequence, and when the 6 have been untied, the 1 will vanish too. Choose one perceiving faculty and realize your breakthrough. Enter the current. Realize the true enlightenment. From subtle adana, the storehouse consciousness, the energy of habits can burst forth into a torrent. Lest you confuse the true with what's untrue, I rarely speak of this. But when your mind grasps hold of your own mind, what's not illusion then becomes illusory. And if you don't grasp hold, then what is called illusion and what's not illusion too will not arise. How could what is illusion be established? This Dharma may be called the wondrous lotus flower, the royal, indestructible, magnificent awakening. This practice of Samapati, though likened to illusion, can quickly bring you past the ones who need no further training. This peerless Dharma is the road that all world-honored ones have walked to reach the gateway to nirvana. So let us continue to walk together in this way, and with warm hearts that we bring to this, as Roshi mentioned last night. We bring warm hearts to whatever the temperature may be. So let's continue to walk this together.